What's a movie that not enough people have heard of, and you think more people should watch? What We Do in the Shadows. Stardust is usually overlooked. It's up there with Princess Bride for me. I love it. Winter on Fire. It's a documentary about Ukraine's fight for freedom and honesty. It's the most shocking and moving documentary I've ever seen. Death Becomes Her. It has Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn locked in a catty feud with a unique twist, and Bruce Willis's a henpecked, spineless husband. Best in Show. It's one of my favorite movies, and the improvisation is phenomenal. Highly recommend watching it if you like Schitt's Creek. About Time. Both funny and tear-jerking. Run, Lola Run, Lola Rent. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang starring Robert Downey Jr. Wrist Cutters, the love story. Especially if you like Gogol Bordello. 13 Ghosts 2001. That movie deserves, at least, a proper rating. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Hunt for the Wilder People. Orgasmo. A non-nude porno about the making of a family-friendly superhero porno starring the creator of South Park as a Mormon missionary who is actually an orgasm-inducing superhero. Tell me that's not an interesting plot. I don't want to sound queer or nothing. I think Depeche Mode is a sweet band. The Fundamentals of Caring. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Especially if you love movies about travel and adventure. I found it really inspiring, but I don't think it got the audience it deserved. The Man from Earth. Edit. So glad that many people recognize and enjoy this movie. I was introduced to it by my husband when we were first dating, so it has extra special meaning to me. But everyone should definitely give it a watch. It's free on IMDb or YouTube. Willow. It's even on Disney+. Edit. It has an absolutely amazing score as well. James Horner at his 80s fantasy best. I feel like Cabin in the Woods had some success. But it's not a movie that you can market well without giving major spoilers, and it's an amazing, introspective look at the horror genre. I would describe it as half homage, half parody of the horror genre. Stranger Than Fiction. Will Ferrell is amazing in a more serious role. The story is something you haven't seen before, and it's unexpectedly beautiful. I profoundly dislike pretty much everything that Will Ferrell has ever done. I just don't find any of his comedies appealing in the slightest. I put off watching Stranger Than Fiction for years because I thought it would be more of the same, until I saw someone who I shared a lot of similar tastes with recommend it. I regretted waiting so long to watch it. Also, I Brought You Flowers is the most adorable and clever pun in cinematic history. Time Bandits. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Fascinating and terrifying, but it pulls you in. You seen The Adventures of Baron Munchausen? Check it out. I watch these two in tandem frequently. I'm generally a fan of all of Terry Gilliam's movies, and I was tempted to throw Munchausen in Brazil in with my original post. Moon. They Live. Count of Monte Cristo 2002. This is very random and old, but I was recently reminded of it. Glory, with Denzel Washington and Matthew Broderick. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Great rom-com. That is rather cliché-free and just heartwarming. Plus it has one of the greatest Hugh Jackman cameos ever. The Losers. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Zoe Saldana, Chris Evans, and Idris Elba. Great action, comic book movie. I don't know why it didn't do better. To list a few. In Bruges. The Death of Stalin. The Square. Children of Heaven. The World's Greatest Dad. What We Do in the Shadows. Death of Stalin is phenomenal. Seriously brilliant movie. Really captures the fear and power vacuum in a funny way. More like a play than a film. The total disregard of even bothering to do Russian accents makes it better. They don't try to make it a historical film, yet Buscemi still looks like Khrushchev in those ill-fitting suits. Buria, who is an actual psychopath, is played to perfection. Seriously one of my favorite movies in the past several years. Seriously underrated I feel. Drop Dead Fred. Loved it as a kid, love it even more now. LA Story. Early Steve Martin at his finest also. Young Sarah Jessica Parker as an annoying valley girl. Brother Bear. A movie about prejudice, platonic love, regret and grief. There's so much good in this movie. Bubba Hotep. History of the World Part 1. Lucky Number 11. Treasure Planet. Yes, it's a Disney animated film, but it is so goddamn good. Pan's Labyrinth. A Scanner Darkly. It stars Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, Robert Downey Jr., and Woody Harrelson, but nobody has heard of it. It's a trippy near-future sci-fi movie, based on a book written by Philip K. Dick. The Adjustment Bureau. Blade Runner. Minority Report. But it focuses on the human story much more than a lot of other sci-fi. The visual style is super unique and it's all around a great film, monsieur. The Other Guys. I Am a Peacock, You Gotta Let Me Fly. Deskpop. I agree. It's not really ever mentioned when discussing Will Ferrell or Mark Wahlberg movies, but it is one of my favorites. Edit. The Lion vs. Tuna argument is one of the funniest moments from Will Ferrell. Lol. True Romance. Raising Arizona. The list of actors in True Romance is crazy. Also, the title can throw people off. As a guy, the first get funny looks from people when I mention this is one of my favorite movies. Frailty with Matthew McConaughey and Bill Paxton. Fisher King with Robin Williams. Super deep movie. The Nice Guys. It's fucking brilliant. The Hudsucker Proxy. You know, for kids. Cube. It's a 90s sci-fi film, but it's got a fantastic premise. Children of Men. You Were Never Really Here. You Were Never Really Here is a 2017 psychological action thriller film written and directed by Lynn Ramsey, based on the 2013 novella of the same name by Jonathan Ames. It stars Joaquin Phoenix, Ekaterina Samsonov, Alex Minette, John Dooman, and Judith Roberts. Sunshine. Just a stunning movie. Memento. It had some popularity, but not near what it deserves for how good it is. Running Scared. 2006 with Paul Walker. Also Running Scared with Gregory Hines. Drop Dead Gorgeous. Rock'n'Rolla. Brick. Bernie. Jack Black. Matthew McConaughey. Shirley MacLaine. Three actors I cannot stand. Yet it's a terrific movie. Either Amelie or Before Sunrise are movies that you can definitely watch twice. Paths of Glory. It has phenomenal critical reception, but nobody has actually heard of it. Disney's Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Bottle Rocket. Muriel's Wedding. Tremors. Cannibal. The Musical with Matt Stone and Trey Parker. I believe this is pre-South Park and totally insane. Primer. 2004. One of the coolest low-budget sci-fi films I've ever seen. 1. The Nice Guys with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. 2. City of God. Equilibrium. Perfume. The Story of a Murderer. City of God or Leon the Professional. The Professional was excellent. Attack the Block. Turbo Kid. Dewey. Princess Mononoke. I rarely see anyone mention The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. It may be slightly bloated, but it's incredibly fun the whole time. Threat Level Midnight. The Man from UNCLE. Captain Fantastic. About a man who raises his kids in the woods. No reliance on technology of any kind. After the mom becomes sick, they need to venture back into society, which the children haven't experienced before. El Hoyo. English. The Platform. It's about a vertical prison where people on the upper levels get first dibs on the food that gets delivered down the center. Edit. Also Train to Busan. It's a Korean zombie flick. Ever see Snowpiercer? It's like a horizontal platform. So many people recommended Snowpiercer to me, and it seemed right up my alley and I was pumped to watch it. I just didn't like it at all. Lol. IDK. What it was? Acting. Story. Cinematography. I just don't understand why people like it. I usually love aesthetic. But if I'd chose between the two, I'd chose platform. Monsieur, strip away all the mess and you get platform, and somehow it shines to me. The characters and development make sense to me. Hidden Figures. about 3 black women who worked for NASA during the space race against Russia, and their struggle just to get basic respect. It's such a powerful film, but also so heartwarming and a little funny too. Literally could watch it over and over again. Edit. Since a lot of you have been saying this is pretty obvious etc. in the UK doesn't feel that's the case. I talked to people here about it and not a great deal of people have seen it. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards and heavily publicized. Not sure it qualifies. Everyone has heard of that movie. In Bruges. Dark comedy. Colin Farrell play a depressed hitman. Literally every human life on Earth could be improved by watching Time Bandits. Goon. You're welcome in advance. I'm sad that I had to scroll down so far to see this. Seriously, one of the best sports movies of all time. 12 Angry Men. So underrated and so simple. Minimal cast and setting even. Basically all takes place in one room with 12 men. But the story is so good. 12 Angry Men is underrated. It's literally considered to be one of the best movies ever made to this day. No one I've ever mentioned it to ever knows what I'm talking about. Amadeus. The Talented Mr. Ripley. The Florida Project. I don't even know what to say really. It stayed with me all this time. The poverty just breaks you. Living as a teen through the recession in Florida. Just realizing how real it all is. It's striking. This is one on my long list that I'm excited to see. Buckaroo Banzai. The fact there was never a sequel was upsetting. But the ending scene with the overly long dance sequence was amazing. 1. Oscar with Sylvester Stallone 1991-2. Ruby at Quentin 2003. Both are amazing comedies. Exclamation mark. Oscar is great. Of course I knew. I just had no idea. Tropic Thunder. You never go full retard. Edge of Tomorrow. Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Alpha Dogs. It's heartbreaking to say the least. Anton Yelchin was a great actor and Justin Timberlake did a great job as well. As good as it gets. That doesn't belong here. Not only was it successful, it was nominated and won Oscars. The Prestige. Contagion. This movie described what happened in a pandemic in 2011. 4 Lions. Idiocracy. It's pretty accurate. Wimbledon. It is my favorite rom-com. I love tennis and I love Paul Bettany. Your Name. It's one of the most popular anime, but compared to the mainstream movies in the US, it doesn't compare and a lot of people don't know about it. It's literally perfect. The soundtrack, art, story, even the title. If you haven't watched it yet, PLZ do and enjoy. Disney's Atlantis and Treasure Planet are overlooked films that should have been classics. Absolutely love the designs of the worlds, characters, items, and the characters are really good in both films. Feel like they're also Disney animated films that definitely appeal more to adults and boys than classic Disney animated films, as they're mostly princess films. Surf's Up is also a really good film from Sony Animation. It's a mockumentary about surfing penguins, and it's as ridiculous as it sounds. The line delivery is just superb, and it's quite funny whilst absolutely nailing the documentary style. Hell, they even created a new camera rig for it where they could track the movements of a real camera. Hell, be a cameraman and take those translations to the digital camera in the 3D program, which is why the camera movement feels so real. Grave of the Fireflies. Edge of Tomorrow. At least no one I know has seen it. Tim Burton's 9. Dark and fantastical. A great movie. Brotherhood of the Wolf. Awesome movie. The original is in French but there is an English dub. Brick, a neo-noir murder mystery that takes place in a high school. By Rian Johnson, who did Looper and The Last Jedi. And best of all, he did Knives Out. Blood in Blood Out. Please know, that's a staple movie in the house. Every damn time it's on. Snowpiercer, it's on Netflix and it is great. Mystery Team Monsieur. It is like Scooby-Doo with better comedy. Starring a super young Donald Glover. I love Grand Budapest Hotel. great Wes Anderson movie that's funny, complicated, absurd, and even a little sad at times. It's a great story. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.